Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. How can enterprises mitigate patent infringement risks in target markets when exporting their products? My name is JD Shi, a patent and trademark attorney at Jiaquan IP Law, and I will be moderating today's discussion. These days, more and more companies are pushing into overseas markets, shipping more products across borders than ever. But with that comes a surge in patent infringement disputes, and that's a big barrier for businesses trying to go global. Over the past few years, Jiaquan IP Law have provided critical assistance to corporate clients in dispute resolution, research and development support, and patent portfolio development through patent search and analysis. Today, we're very honored to invite Ms. Zhao Jin, a senior patent attorney and manager of the Search and Analysis Department at Jiaquan, to share her experience in helping enterprises mitigate patent infringement risks in target markets when exporting their products. Now let's welcome Jin.
Thank you, JD. Good morning, everyone. I'm really glad today to talk about how the patent search applies on risk management. Before we get started, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Jin, manager of the Patent Search Analysis Department at Jiaquan IP Law. I have been specializing in patent search and analysis for 8 years. During this time, I have provided patent validation search services and FTO searches to many well-known companies, which has helped me accumulate a great deal of relevant experience. So getting back to today's topic, I have noticed that more and more companies are gradually raising their awareness of risk management. And when they sell their products overseas, the first thing they worry about is whether their products will infringe on patents. So today, I want to focus on how companies can get ahead of patent infringement risks in daily R&D and before launching products into target markets, and share some practical tips. I will cover the following aspects. First off, what we can do to spot potential infringement risks early. And then I will discuss with you about how to build a competitor monitoring system. After that, I will share some experience about how to launch an FTO investigation. And one last thing is summary and recommendations. We all know companies' R&D can be split into daily work and new product development. The big difference is daily R&D fixes small issues on existing products, while the new product work is for major upgrades or breaking into new markets. So it needs cross-team collaboration and project approval. For daily R&D, engineers have to stay on top of tech trends to catch infringement risk early. For new products, companies need to check if the new stuff they are building falls under someone else's patent. And right now, daily R&D mostly uses competitor monitoring to predict risk. And for new products, they usually do an FTO search before the final design to rule out from the infringement issues. Next, let's delve into the core of the patent infringement offense and defense strategies that everyone cares about, and going deep on competitor patent monitoring and FTO searches. And first, we need to get the basics straight. Who are the competitors? Before we kick off any competitor analysis, the first and the most critical step is to pinpoint our competitors. From a company side or client side, I split competitors into two groups based on how easy to find out. Visible business competitors and hidden ones that only show up at the patent level. You have to cover both to catch every important competitors that could pose a risk. Now, starting with the visible business competitors. These are the easiest for companies to name, and most only look this far. I break them into four groups too. First are direct competitors. For example, the global firms selling the same products and their patents overlap directly with our clients' products. And they are the main players behind infringement cases and our top monitoring target. Second are the indirect competitors. Their products have the same function, but they use different technical setups. They don't hit the market directly, but their tech upgrades can still create hidden risk. The third one is substitute competitor. They use totally different tech or product designs to meet the same end needs, and they show the tech replacement direction. They have to watch so you don't dodge a direct competitor's patent only to step on theirs. Fourth are potential competitors. These are not in the target market, but have enough R&D funding and finished technology to launch products anytime. Like Huawei, they saying years back they wouldn't do electronic vehicles, but now their car systems are everywhere in China. Hidden patent level competitors are the major challenge for risk control, and most companies master them up. These are firms that threat our clients' products through their patent filings. First are tech path competitors. They are in the same tech space and the same R&D line, so they are the deadliest directly streets. Second are the patent volume heavyweights. Not necessarily market leaders yet, but they file a lot of patents in the target market and initiate batches of lawsuits. Third are patent litigation competitors, the frequent enforcers and NPEs. They hold a lot of high value patents and specialize in legal action in US or European markets. They are the main source of lawsuit risk, so constant monitoring is non-negotiable. And last are tech substitute players. Usually the universities or research institutes. They have basic and cutting edge patents and don't compete in the market directly, but can spin up new competitors fast by selling or licensing their patents. So we just went through several categories of competitors. Normally, clients have no trouble naming all the visible ones. However, those hidden ones are hard for them to spot on their own. That's where we step in. Now, let's talk about the key part. How to find these hidden competitors through patent searching. I'm going to introduce 4 search methods today. In practice, none of them works perfectly on its own. So you really need to use them together to make sure your search is both comprehensive and accurate. First method is semantic search. This is a brand new feature that major patent databases have recently launched. is an AI-powered search tool that uses natural language to understand what a patent is really about, the technical solution, the problem it's trying to solve, and the core function. The biggest advantage is precision. It can zero in on patents that are technical very close to your target, which makes it especially useful when you are trying to nail down your important competitors. That said, it does have a clear weakness. Semantic search is limited coverage. It tends to miss patents that share the same technical background but happen to be described in very different language. Next method is RPC classification search. The biggest strength of RPC classification search is coverage. It can reach every patent in a given technical field, both domestic and international, so you won't miss competitors from other countries. But the downside, though, is noise. You will get a lot of irrelevant results. So this method works best when the technical field is well defined and you can find a clear matching RPC number. Next method is keyword combination search. This is the most conventional approach. By combining keywords around technical features and application scenarios, you can significantly expand your search coverage. But the main shortcoming is original limitation. Because the technical terms vary a lot between the countries. So this method tends to work better for searching domestic competitors rather than international ones. The last method is citation search. Citation search works by following the forward and backward citation links between patents, as well as patent family relationships. A nice added benefit of this approach is that it naturally helps you trace the technology development paths of an industry and identify the most fundamental patents in a field. And the limitation is coverage. It's quite hard to find competitors in emerging technology areas using this method alone. So in practice, we usually combine this method together. Here is a workflow I find works well. We can start with multiple rounds of semantic search to zero in on a handful of competitors. Go through their patents and pull out the most useful keywords and RPC number. And next, use those RPC number together with the keywords to expand a wider net and build a larger data set. Within the data set, rank the applicants by filing value. The companies that stay near the top are usually the competitors you are looking for. And finally, filter for highly relevant patents that have later filing dates and broad patent family, and then run a citation search to track down the last batch of the competitors. Once you have worked through all of that, you will generally have a pretty comprehensive competitor list. Now, another thing I want to highlight is emerging competitor. On top of the identifying your established competitors, you should pay especially close attention to emerging competitors. So, how do you spot them? Here are a few signals I'd watch for. First, watch for companies whose patent filings have exploded in recent years. If you find some companies like that, it's a strong sign they only entered this technical field in the last few years. And that is exactly the signal for spotting emerging competitors. Second, you can watch for companies that have recently been filing a lot of patents in your target market. The reason this matters is that patent filing typically comes before market entry. So, if a company suddenly starts filing a lot in your target market, it's a pretty clear sign they have already decided to expand into that market. You want to be aware of that early and start monitoring them right away. Third, monitor the joint applications between the leading companies. If a major player has co-filed patents with some lesser known company, that's worth paying attention to. That means the two companies are combining their technologies through patent collaboration, and the kind of partnership can quietly build into a new industry force with real disruptive potential. And fourth, watch for patent holders whose newer patents are getting heavily cited. Citation count is one of the most reliable indicators of technical influence. If a company's patents are being cited frequently by others, it means they hold technology that the rest of the industry considers important, and a company like that has a high chance of becoming a core competitor. So we have talked through the most important method for identifying competitors. And now, if you want to go a step further and build a solid competitor monitoring system, I think there are three things it really needs to get right. The first thing is persistence. You need a monitoring system that scans competitors' patent activity at regular intervals, but not the same frequency for everyone. For your most critical competitors, the ones who are litigation prone or failing heavily, you should high frequency monitor that. For smaller or lower risk players, a periodical check is enough. The point is that you catch every significant change as soon as it happens. The second is comprehensiveness. Some only tracks new patent filings, but that's not enough. You also need to monitor the technical direction of newly published applications and keep the legal status of competitors' existing patents up to date. Things like brand, invalidation, and licensing. On top of that, you need to track changes in their global filing footprint. So you always have a clear picture of where they are filing their patent around the world. Third is accuracy. And this is really the most important one because all the monitoring in the world only matters if it actually serves your business. So data updates only are not enough. You need to do the deep analysis. That means taking every newly published or newly granted competitor patent and comparing it directly with your products. You assess the degree of overlap, evaluate the infringement risk, and then produce a concrete design around and risk response plans. It is a closed loop from data monitoring all the way through to product risk management. So we talked a lot about competitor monitoring. Actually, a big part of why we do competitors research is to make the groundwork for FTO search. And in the next section, I want to focus on something that a huge number of companies make before they launch a product, and that's a freedom to operate analysis, or FTO for short. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with FTO, so I won't go into the basics in detail. Simply put, an FTO analysis is about assessing whether your product might infringe someone else's patent rights. When you identify the patents that pose a risk, you can develop a strategy to deal with them, and beyond that, the results of an FTO directly shape the business decisions. In my work with IP managers at all kinds of companies, they all keep running into the same three questions about FTO. When is the right time to do it? Do I really need to cover the entire product? And how do I make sure I don't miss any relevant patents in the search? So let me go through each of them and share my experience. Let's start with how to run a comprehensive FTO. The core principles are really be summed in the three words: early, comprehensive, and detailed. An FTO must be done upfront, never at the end. The earlier you start, the earlier you catch patent risks, and the cheaper and easier it is to work around them. Second important thing is broad. Don't limit your scope. You need comprehensive coverage, all relevant markets, all competitors, and every technical features of the product. Because if you leave something out, you may be leaving out a critical risk. The third is detailed. Risk management lives in the details. Don't just flag patents as risky and move on. Actually, dig into each one. You should understand the scope of protection and the important technical points. And for every patent risk you identify, make sure you have a response prepared in advance. And now, a lot of companies can't do a fully comprehensive FTO because of the budget. They just can't cover every technical features and every market and every country. That's where we come in as a patent agency. Our job is to understand what matters most to the client and help them focus the FTO where it counts. And if you want the analysis to be targeted rather than bland, and the results to be actually useful, it really comes down to getting four things right: the right timing, the right region, the right targets, and the right technology focus. First thing is the right timing. Running an FTO at different stage of product development involves very different trade-off. So it's worth thinking carefully about when to do it. If you do it in the early stage of R&D, the cost of making changes is lowest, and funding can inform your business decision from the start. And generally speaking, for companies where technical changes are relatively easy, where redesign costs are a real concern. For this situation, I recommend doing the FTO when the initial solution is ready. The second is the right region. I like to think of this in four priority levels. The top priority level is where you sell or offer to sell the product. This is a scenario where patent infringement litigation is most likely to arise. A second priority is where the product is manufactured or assembled. A lot of local manufacturers have deep expertise in assembly processes, and many hold method patent covering those steps. Sorry. And fourth is the right technology focus. Some product changes very fast, but each time it's really just one important module being updated, while the rest of the product stays the same and relies on standard industry common technology. In that case, focus your FTO on the modules where most of the R&D investment go. You should make sure those specific areas are clear of infringement risk. And similarly, if any component was developed by closely referencing another company's product or patent, and put this component at the top of your FTO. Now that we have gone through the overall FTO strategy, let's get into the actual search, which is honestly the part most companies are most curious about. I will be upfront. Even the most experienced searcher can't guarantee that nothing gets missed. But where we can do is build a solid search strategy from the start to maximize our coverage. Here is what I have found works in practice. Most people default to keywords and APC combinations, which is a solid starting point. But today, I want to highlight some additional methods that go beyond the traditional approach. Ones can help you expand your keyword pool, surface new APC, and fill in the gaps in your search logic. The first method is semantic search. You can build your semantic text using the technology plus problem plus effect format and conduct multiple rounds and collect the patterns and are most similar to your product. This does two things for you. It expands your keyword list and APC number and the list of applicants, and it also gives you a reference set of core patterns that you can use later to check whether your final search results are actually comprehensive. And the second method is to search by important applicants and inventors. Once you have completed your semantic search, you can collect the patterns most closely related to your product and then trace back to the applicants and inventors behind them. The third method is citation tracking. Starting from the highly relevant patterns you are already identified, you can look at their citation relationships, both the patents they cite and the patents that cite them. Some of those cited patents may no longer be enforced, but that doesn't mean they are useless. The applicants, inventors, and keywords behind them can still be valuable for building your search. And the first method is patent family tracking. Normally, when we do an FTO analysis, we focus on a specific country. But based on my experience, I suggest not limiting the target country at the start. Instead, find the most relevant patents first and then narrow down the region. Here is a scenario that actually comes up quite often. For example, you want to assess infringement risk in China, and you run a keyword or semantic search you find that the most relevant result is an US patent, but not a Chinese one. Well, that US patent might have a Chinese family member that's also relevant to your product. But because your keywords or semantic text were not comprehensive enough, you never found it through a regular keyword search. So that's why tracking the patent family of highly relevant patents is an important safeguard against misses. And the fifth search method is the standard keywords and classification number combination search. After going through all the methods above, you should have a much richer set of elements to work with. Better keywords, more IPC number, and a clear picture of the relevant applicants. And bring all of that together to build your final complete search query. That's how you can push your search coverage to the next level. And beyond the above method, how you actually execute the search matters just as much. Normally, the first step is a preliminary search. My recommendation at this stage is not to limit your search to granted or to target country just yet. You should keep the data set as broad as possible. The reason is that a wider data set gives you much more materials to work with when you move on to patent family tracking, semantic search, and citation analysis. And the second step is a deep search. Here, you take all the elements you collected in the preliminary search, the keywords, ABC, applicants, and use them to keep refining your search queries. Our goal is to expand our coverage and dig out the patents that the first round may have missed. And the third step is supplementary research. This is a topical done after you have individually reviewed around 100 or 200 relevant patents. By this point, things that were missed in the initial search should have naturally come to the surface by now. For example, unusual application scenarios, applicants, and more specific IPC. So at this stage, you run a supplementary search to catch whatever was overlooked. And now, everything I have talked about has been about search methods and execution steps. But in practice, having a solid process to guarantee the search quality is just important. The first thing I'd recommend is having two searchers work back to back and then cross-check each other's results. Two people should independently run the full FTO search from start to finish, with no communication between them throughout the process. When both are done, you compare the results. This is one of the most effective ways to reduce the blind spots and biases that naturally comes from person's experience. And the second thing is to use a recall sample set to calculate your recall rate. If it doesn't meet your target, go back and revise your search queries and keep iterating until it does. Now, where do you get the recall sample? One option is to build one yourself during the initial search by using semantic search to pull out a set of highly relevant patents. So let me close with a quick summary of everything we have discussed today. Competitor monitoring and FTO analysis are two of the most important tools that some companies use to manage patent infringement risk. But risk management isn't a one-off task. It's an ongoing commitment. I have always believed that patent search is a job that requires a lot of responsibility because our search results can easily affect our clients' lawsuit results, negotiation results, or even some of their business decisions. That's why we need to keep challenging ourselves in patent search, accumulate more experience. I hope that I have shared today gives you something useful to take back and help you support your clients in building a solid risk management system which truly protects their business and helps them move forward with confidence. And here I have also listed the content included in Jiaquan's FTO report and our advantages. As you can see, we are very meticulous in the breadth and depth of the search, as well as in the detailed comparison between the high-risk patents and products. At the same time, if the region we investigate in Chinese patents, we will also combine the experience in infringement determination in China's current judicial practice to make an objective assessment of the actual risk of patents. And our reports have been recognized by multiple clients for their meticulous, objective, and comprehensive analysis. Clients hold that our report can be directly applied in commercial decision making. Of course, beyond the search and analysis, Jiaquan also have rich professional experience in other intellectual property service areas. This includes patent application, litigation, and other matters. If you are interested, feel free to contact us after the webinar. That's all for my presentation. Thank you all for your attention today. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. And thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Zhao Jin, for your wonderful presentation. Now we have some time to answer questions from you.
Okay, I will answer this question with my colleague Ronnie. So, whoa.
Hi, I'm Ronnie. I'm the colleague of Jin. I'm sitting here, maybe sharing some of my personal insights about your questions. So let's see. What's the first question?
Thank you, Ralph, for Nigel and Chris for your interest and words. If you have any questions, please feel free to type in the box. Okay, if there is no question right now, it's all right. But if you have any questions in the future, please feel free to write us an email or contact us via LinkedIn or WeChat. Okay, thank you again, Zhao Jin, for the wonderful presentation. Now to our lovely audience, thank you so much for joining us today at the webinar. I hope that you all have enjoyed the discussion, and we shall share the slides and recording after the webinar. So thank you so much for your joining again, and have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Okay, that's all for today's webinar. And
Thank you.
thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.